Well, the week started off with some crazy news from Jesse Marsh to Man City and their scandal, their financial issues there. But the weekend itself was superb as well. So much happening across European and world football. It's three headlines. We'll pick a headline each that jumped off the page to us. Mikey, let's start with you. What do you have?
Yeah, so my headline that jumped out to me was from Sky Sports, and it was Gary Neville saying that something is not right with Manchester City, and Pep Guardiola's side is not as good as they once were. I don't think we can disagree, obviously, with the news that came out today. Clearly something is not right, but then it's beyond that, the sort of things that have just stood out to me. One, João Cancelo. Like, what happened there, that's not something we see every day in football. And clearly it's a really marquee, important player for your squad. And for them just to say goodbye to him all of a sudden, that's alarming. But then, over the weekend, obviously Manchester City losing 1-0 to Tottenham. But did you guys catch Pep Guardiola's starting 11 in that game?
Yeah, no Gundogan, no Kevin De Bruyne.
No Kevin De Bruyne, Aymeric Laporte, and Ruben Diaz was also on the bench for Manchester City. Prior to the game, just leading up, listening to the commentators, the analysis, everyone's like, yeah, that's kind of weird, but Pep Guardiola is a genius, and usually, he knows what he's doing. I don't think he's immune from criticism, though.
No,
and I
of
think
course
that
not.
this sort of criticism, based on his decision, based on the way Manchester City played, I think what Gary Neville has been saying, and I don't say this very often, but what Gary Neville's saying, absolutely spot on about Manchester City. I used to think, and I kept on thinking, when is this Manchester City team going to click? When are they finally going to refine that form and overtake Arsenal in the league here? I'm not sure anymore that's going to happen.
Well, they're also in the past so ruthless, right? If they saw a team around them drop points, you knew they were going to win the next game, right? We saw Arsenal lose on the weekend to Everton of all teams. And you think, well, what an opportunity now for City to close that gap and to put in that performance. Haaland, not one touch in his own area. I mean,
box,
the
yeah.
25 goal man. It's incredible. I think just 25 touches overall in that game for Haaland, right? Whether he's trying to figure out a system to work around Haaland or vice versa, you're right. There's something going on there at the moment. Pep's been through adversity in the past, though. I'm sure he'll figure it out, assuming he's still there.
Yeah.
With, or the financial issues there at the moment. But I mean, at Barcelona, they were great every year.
Yeah,
But you know what I'm saying, though? There were moments, though, when he had to kind of refix himself and his team.
The thing is, what I'm seeing from City, and I heard Frank LeBoeuf on ESPN said this, that they are having an identity crisis, and that's exactly how I see it. They are completely lost with the ball. They look like they have no motivation. Kevin De Bruyne, when he came on in that game, looked exhausted.
He came on for Riyad Mahrez, sorry.
Which was also, that sub made no
yeah.
sense. But I keep saying this, and you can recognize it, I think, with Liverpool as well. Chelsea, bit of a different story because they have a whole new locker room, so you can't compare those two. But these two teams, along with Chelsea, have played more football than any other team. It is catching up to the players. I refuse to believe that players like Kevin De Bruyne, who all went to a World Cup as well, so I think that's catching up with them. Like you said, the whole João Cancelo thing, also an issue. Now everything that's happening in the press with, financial fair play and stuff. I think there is such a lack of communication, and it's just catching up to them. We can't say these players are not good players and Pep's not a good coach, but they have just, there is something going on.
They've also lost big personalities in recent years, right? From Vincent Kompany to Raheem Sterling to Fernandinho.
Gabby Jesus.
Even Jesus and Zinchenko, right?
Yeah.
Who have proven to be really, really good players and leading Arsenal right now. You wonder about the leadership there. Is Kevin De Bruyne a natural leader? I'm not sure he is. It'll probably just take a little fix if they're allowed to in the transfer window to fix this thing, I think. But it's Gary Neville. I'm sure he really enjoyed that, ripping on City, of course. But he made a valid point. I'm going to stay with that game for my headline today. My headline comes from the Daily Mirror. Harry Kane's emotional phone call with absent Antonio Conte and Tottenham dressing room. I want to focus on the word emotional here. All right. Now, listen, Harry Kane, well done. He's now Spurs all-time leading scorer, 200 Premier League goals, quicker than even Alan Shearer did it. He's an absolute legend. It's a great weekend for him, but I love the headline writers. So I want to play this video of the actual emotional phone call with Antonio Conte. Sean, roll.
Antonio.
Hello. How you doing, boss? You okay?
Yeah. Good. You make me proud.
Oh, thank you. No, yeah.
It was a nice phone call,
There
right?
was some emotion.
I don't see emotion there. There was emotion on the pitch beforehand when he addressed the media.
No, but
the
he was-
media, the
he was
fans.
smiling, laughing.
not-
That's not emotion.
You wanted to see tears
I
down
want
the
to see,
face.
I want to see Conte saying, Harry, I love you. I'm going to stay here if you stay here. Here's a new 10-year contract, making you the highest paid player in the world. That's all I hear from Conte, and emotion, right? But Harry's response here, yeah, thanks.
Cheers.
hey, boss.
I do like
All
how
right.
you said headline writer, though, because a lot of people may not know this. Writers or people who produce articles, oftentimes they don't write their own headlines.
Thumbnails.
That's to the editors, right? It's up to the editors to do that. So, sometimes writers do take fault or take criticism because of that, but it's not always their fault.
I just found it funny, but it's my gateway to get into Harry Kane a little bit because of how great he was. And listen, I know Albert's not here right now. Little truth for the listeners and viewers of Room 442. Albert Vertanian cried yesterday watching Harry Kane hit 200, and we'll talk to Albert about it later this week. That was emotion. Albert Vertanian had true emotion yesterday with Spurs beating Man City. All right, Sarah, what jumped off the page to you?
Yeah, let's just segue into this. I have to jump to Spain because I knew you guys were going to go with the Premier League. There was a lot to talk about in the city actually as well. But Barcelona are now 8 points clear of Real Madrid, who stumbled against Mallorca. Now, this was such an important game for Barca to win, but it was more so the fact that Real Madrid dropped points to Mallorca from an own goal from Nacho and then Asensio missing a penalty. This team on paper is stacked, and I think Madrid and Ancelotti are fantastic, but also another team where you look at it and there is something going wrong. And lucky for Barca and Xavi, they had a poor first half, but they had a great chat in the dressing room, I guess. Came back, scored 3 fantastic goals, and now 8 points clear of La Liga, which is really great, especially going into 2 matches against Manchester United. Big takeaway, though, Sergio Busquets injured alongside Ousmane Dembele. Both will be out for, yeah, I know, he's happy, he needs it. Both are out for both matches against Manchester United. So, I don't know, looking good right now, but do I trust Barca? No, still no.
I think the biggest surprise though is Real Madrid, though.
Yeah,
How they
that's
just
exactly.
week after week, right? And you wonder about Ancelotti's future there at this point. This is Real Madrid. They fire managers for fun. Will he make it to the end of the season?
I mean, they could go on and still win the Champions League. We'd be like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah, that's the good point.
He also
Yeah.
won the Champions League last year and the league. Like, he gets some leeway here.
Not Real Madrid. He doesn't.
No, just taken
He
away.
doesn't.
No,
I
I
don't
think the thing is with this game as well, I don't know if you guys watched it or saw the highlights, it was a very fiery game. Vinicius Jr. had the most fouls against him than anyone else in the top 5 in one match in a La Liga game. Like, they were really getting attacked. So, I mean, I think they probably were the better side, but at the end of the day, you got to win. You got to score your goals.
Well, they're
ask
just 3
Jesse
headlines. Just 3 headlines. And the way the week started, there's many more headlines coming before we see you next.